Hello everybody, welcome to the channel again. So in this video we're going to go over 10 tips slash advice and strategy that you can use to help get to Legend in Hearthstone. Because everyone wants that awesome card back and, well, generally all the prestige that comes with being a top player. So, the first tip that we're going to cover in this video is use a deck that's proven to be able to get to Legend already. For instance, these are several decks. Oh, also, this is my Legend perf right here. I'm Legend currently in this month. I've hit Legend in 3 other months. Probably would be more if I didn't. I don't play much during school though. Yeah, so we're gonna go into these right here and just check out a couple of decks that that you can use to help get to Legend specifically yourself. So this is a mid-range Druid deck. You can pause and copy the deck list if you want. This is for the current patch. Obviously in a couple of days there's going to be a big Hearthstone announcement that could end up changing the meta greatly, and Druid maybe change greatly as well, but this is the mid-range Druid deck that I personally enjoy using. This is a Mech Mage deck that's also very fun. This is a mid-range Hunter deck, and feel free to just pause and copy the deck list whenever. And these are just a few examples. I will also link I will also be linking different sites that you can use in order to find deck lists as well. So those are a few deck lists, and that's my number 1 tip, is use a proven deck list. You can have fun and experiment, but unless you're extremely talented with deck building and willing to sacrifice a lot of hours and a lot of time doing that deck building, you probably want to just make sure that you use a proven deck, essentially. And my second tip is to have fun. Don't get tilted. You're gonna be playing a lot, and losing is gonna happen. It's going to happen. I've gone from streaks where I've been rank 1 and then D-ranked all the way down to rank 5 or 6, and I've still come back and hit Legend. So it's like, you can still lose a lot, and just because you're high. And by the way, because the reason why I went so low is because I did tilt, because I did start just not thinking through my turns all the way through, and so that was something that was really hurt me in my laddering, and that's something you want to avoid. My next tip, the third tip, is to not use multiple decks. You really want to just gain expertise in the one single deck, and really just become an expert with that deck in the current meta, and so that you can know all the matchups, know how to mulligan correctly, all these other things. So tip number 4 is to play to win, not just to survive. There's a lot of scenarios where, say, you will have the option, you don't have a lot of cards left, they're like you're missing like 1 or 2 cards in order to get lethal on them, and you have like a taunt minion that you can play while they have a board. Let's say you have like a Druid of the Claw, for instance. You want to analyze, alright, so you can taunt the Druid up, and then maybe they can like just, take care of it with what they have on the board, and then you're like out of gas, you have no more cards, and then you are putting yourself in a position to survive longer, because if they're on a 2-turn lethal, meaning that it will take them 2 more turns from your turn in order to kill you, you may want to charge that Druid out instead, if you know that you have the cards left within your deck and you're on 1 or 2 top decks left, to be able to lethal them yourself. Because surviving is great, but if you put yourself in a position where you can't win the game afterwards, then you're really just hurting yourself. So you want to play to win and not play to just survive. So you really want to think about your turns and analyze, how do I win this game from this point with the cards that I have remaining versus the cards that they have remaining? And you want to make the best decision possible off that. Obviously, if they have lethal on board, you want to prevent that, but say like if you're afraid of them having a combo, sometimes you'll want to play around them not having the combo. You'll want to play as though they don't have the combo so that you can win, because if they do have the combo, there's nothing you can do at that point sometimes, and so it's better to just play to win as opposed to just survive. Tip number 5 is to play a lot. It is a grind. It takes several hundred wins to get to legend, even like at a 60% win rate, which is really good for a card game. So you're gonna have to play a lot to get to legend. Make sure that you have the time. And if you don't necessarily have the time, then maybe legend is just gonna be hard, and maybe something that you aren't gonna get if you don't have the time to allocate to get legend. Tip number 6 is to be aware of the meta. The meta is constantly shifting in Hearthstone. It changes by the hour, by the minute, sometimes even. The best way to analyze the meta is to just play ladder. That's it. It's simple. That's how you understand what is popular right now, especially against you. And like sometimes you'll be playing a deck that is really good in the current meta. But if the meta shifts and there's a lot of decks starting to come out, like say you're playing like Handlock and a lot of Hunters start coming out, you may want to shift away from Handlock if you're persistently facing that many Hunters, and switch to a different deck if the meta happens to be shifting at that point in time towards that. Now, with that said, you do want to play the same deck a lot. So it's like you have to determine whether or not you need to shift decks in order to gain ranks, essentially. And that's going to be a very personal decision, but a lot of the times you need to really understand what the difference is between like losing like 3 Hunters in a row is versus facing a large amount of Hunters. Because like if you're still which brings me to point 7, you don't need to beat every deck in the meta, just most of them. So if you're playing a deck that is getting stomped on a couple of times and has a couple of bad matchups, then that's fine. You're going to lose those matchups. Every deck has a counter deck for it, a deck that usually has a higher win rate against it. So, losing is going to happen, like I said. But you don't need to beat most of the deck, or you don't need to beat every deck, you just need to beat most of the decks. You shouldn't be trying to beat every deck. That's just going to spread you out, and you're going to end up losing more games than winning that way. Tip number 8 is to watch better players and analyze their gameplay and juxtapose that against the moves that you think that you would play in those same situations. And it's really helpful if you can find gameplay, whether on YouTube or Twitch or something, that has a player playing the deck that you're playing. And if you use a popular deck, that's going to be a lot easier to do. But that's one of the best ways to get better, is to really be critical about your own plays. You can also, in the same vein, go back and watch your own gameplay if you have it recorded and really analyze, alright, did I make the best play here? Did I make the best play here? And then adjust your play in future matches accordingly. Tip number 9 is to set a high goal for yourself. If your goal is to reach like rank 5, for instance, don't set your goal to be at rank 5. You want to set your goal above that, because when you get close to your goal, it's going to be really like, oh, come on, I just need this like couple more wins to get it. But that's really not the attitude that you want. You want to just, stay calm and collected and just continue playing. So if your goal is to hit rank 5, you really want to set your goal to hitting legend or something. And if your goal is to hit legend, you want to shift your goal to be hit like top 500 legend by the end of the month, to hit top 100 legend by the end of the month. And that will help you realize that your goal doesn't end at hitting legend. And that will help you push through your goal even. And tip number 10, the final tip that I can give for this video. Sorry, I like to have all my fingers in the video for some reason. But the final tip is to, and this is specifically for players who have troubles hitting rank 5. So if you're capable of hitting rank 5 every month, this part is probably not for you. But my last bit of advice for these players is to improve your mechanics, and that means making efficient trades, using your mana efficiently, and curving out, mulliganing correctly. These are all things that players who hit rank 5 are generally capable of doing. Because if you hit rank 5, you're likely able to hit legend. It's just about the attitude and the time that you put into the game. But if you're not able to hit rank 5, something is definitely wrong with your mechanics. So you want to, look up some videos. Trump has some good videos, and I'll try to link his channel, and you can, find his helpful beginner videos, because he's going to be able to explain this way better than I can. But yeah, so that's my last tip, is to improve your mechanics if you aren't capable of reaching rank 5, because if you have improper mechanics, legend is going to be far out of your reach. Anyways, those are my 10 tips for hitting legend. I hope you guys found them helpful, and if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to subscribe. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/PiperChapman, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.